Diddy Buns, you bitch.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be. My name is Marva B. I am the CEO and founder of Black Link Magazine. I would like for my audience to please help me welcome our guest who has proven that his love for music has made him one of the best in the broadcast industry. He received Billboard Magazine's 1999 let me make sure I say this right. 1999 Air Personality of the Year Award. Help me welcome Mr. Lenny Green. Welcome, Lenny.
Marvin, thank you for being so kind to extend this olive branch so I can be on your platform, Black Link Magazine. It's a wonderful magazine. I wish you continued success with it.
I thank you so much, and just know how honored I am to have you here, that you said yes. And I always have to shout out Mr. B, John Blassingame, for the amazing connection. He's such a wonderful person, and I'm thankful for all that he does. So listen, you guys out here in Oklahoma, we hail from Oklahoma, and you can hear the quiet storm out here in Oklahoma as well. We're going to talk about some of that. But first of all, Lenny, if you will, just go ahead and introduce yourself to the world. For those that don't know, let them know who you are and what's most important that they need to know about you.
And I'm a down-to-earth cat. You know, my mom, spiritual brother. God, unfortunately, like so many other women, my mom was left when she got involved with the man, and she raised me, my older brother, and she got another brother, adopted a young man to be a part of our family. Wow. And she was just like so many sisters today. You know, she loved her family, loved her children, supported her children, and didn't tolerate any mess from her children. You know?
That's right.
And I'm happy to say that my older brother, my younger adopted brother, we haven't been in the wrong side of the law. Matter of fact, my older brother, he just retired. He did 20 some years with EMS. My younger adopted brother, he just retired as a captain at captain at Rikers Island.
Wow.
And both of them were in the service. I wanted to go into the military, but after some experiences of hearing some stories, I changed that course. But Marv, I'm just a young Black man that comes out of Brooklyn, New York. At 9 years old, I discovered I wanted to be Michael Jackson II. God had a different path for me, but I sang from 9 years old till I got to college.
Wow.
So all through those years, I was a struggling, open kid that wanted to sing. And wow. I can't sing a lick to this day. But what God did do for me, he turned off one light switch and put on another. He knew that I probably would excel better in where I'm at right now. And the struggle, just like with anybody who pursues a career, it's not an easy walk. But I'm thankful that I stayed the course. I'm thankful that he's given me a gift. I'm thankful that God has given me a purpose in life. And my goal is just to touch someone. I don't know radio. I don't know. We have no clue. On the other side, when you're listening to us, I'm not the only one. We don't know when you're listening. We don't know if you got us on. We're praying that you keep us on, you turn us on, and hopefully we're engaging enough to keep you entertained, keep you interested, and you stay with us as long as you can.
So, well, it worked. It worked for you. It worked for you. So you said a couple of things that I just want to touch on, and that is your mother. Kudos to your mother. I was a single mother for all of their lives, even though, their father was in their life, but they were in the home with me. And it was just me and my two children. And so every time I hear those stories and the kids turn out pretty good, it's just a blessing in itself. And God he just helps us along the way, and we do our best we can do. So kudos to your mother. And then you talked about God having something different. Like, we have plans. We wake up and we have all these plans and we end up somewhere else. I'm like, God said, I didn't tell you to do this. This is what I have for you, because I know that this is what works best for you, because he knows us better than we know ourselves. Let's just get into this interview and find out more about you. I want to know how you started in the radio broadcasting arena. You kind of touched on that, stating that and I read about that you was going to be the next Michael Jackson, and I also listened to an interview that you did with his brothers, and talked about that.
So, like I said a moment ago, it was really like that. When I got to college, I'm singing. So people were encouraging me throughout the first semester. Hey man, you should visit a radio station. You got a nice voice. Do it. I eventually went, and it was instantaneously, Mom. It was instantaneously. I fell in love with this thing, a radio. Now here's the other coup de grace to this. My older brother, he was the way, after he came out of the service and he was working, he had an interest in radio. And he would wake me and my mom up early in the morning, and we would listen to his program. And he was playing jazz all the time, and that's what kind of infused, I guess, something in me that I wasn't paying attention to.
Right.
So now I grow up, I get to college, the college radio station. College radio is a great platform for anyone who is pursuing the game, especially if you're young. You know what I'm saying? And there's an age thing to this radio thing too, which we may talk about. But by the time I got to college, it was just like, wow, I was mesmerized by what I saw and wanted to do and learn more about it. I knew about the singing thing. And so they said, well, what kind of show would you like? So again, I'm being influenced by my older brother. He played jazz. I'm like, smooth jazz. So they gave me a smooth jazz station show on Sundays from 7 o'clock to 1 o'clock in the morning.
Right. Wow.
6 hours. Wow. 7 is a very interesting number. And we all know that from a spiritual standpoint, 7 is the number of completion.
Right.
7 has stayed with me for a long time. Like still on New York City radio, the show that you guys hear in Oklahoma City, I come on at 7 o'clock. 6 o'clock, maybe.
It's 6. It's 6 our time.
6, right. 6 your time. So 7 has been with me for a long time. 7, the number 7.
Wow.
So I look at that as one miraculous sign.
Right.
But that's where the light switch went on. So I did that. And now I'm starting to fail in my studies because I'm so interested in this radio thing.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't get my degree at all.
Oh.
I don't get my degree at all. I end up leaving school.
Right.
Thank God I qualified for financial aid.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a burden. I don't have no student loans to this day because financial aid covered everything.
Right.
And that's where I just stayed and pound the payment. And from there, I just wanted to do more. So I got involved with another college radio station. It was located in Brooklyn, Medgar Evers College, and stayed there and just started learning and started interviewing whoever we could interview, community leaders, politicians, anybody, artists, recording artists from time to time. And then that kind of faded to black. So then I found a job in radio, and the first job was in Richmond, Virginia.
Wow.
And I accepted that job. I'm not going to talk about the first job before that one because I wasn't going to accept that. Now, you have to understand, growing up in New York, I wasn't fortunate to go away to college.
Right.
So me getting this first radio job in Richmond was like going away to college.
Right.
First time away from home, living on my own. I negotiated my deal with this radio station, which turned out to be only for a short period of time. Ended up coming back to New York because they had some financial problems at the radio station. Got back to New York, ended up working for a radio syndication company as an office assistant, administrator, and found a part-time job in radio in Connecticut, just Saturdays and Sundays. So essentially, I was working 7 days a week at the radio syndication company. I was scheduling time when people were going in to be interviewed. Like artists would come in and they would get assigned to this, get assigned to that. And then I asked one of the brothers who just now happens to work for me as my booking guy who books all my guests. His name is Ken Simmons. I say, hey man, if you ever need help, I can interview someone, if you're not around.
Yeah.
He threw a bone my way once and said, well, you know what, I can't be there. Regina Bella's coming in. Can you interview Regina Bella? So I said, yeah, I could do that. I mean, that was the biggest thing in the world.
Yes.
So I learned the backside of radio syndication from an office standpoint, from an administration standpoint, not knowing what was going to happen.
Right.
Like I said, on Saturdays, Sundays, I would get on the train, go to Connecticut, and work a weekend shift there. So I had no time in my life at that stage of the game.
Wow.
And after working part time, the owners of the radio station in Connecticut, they were a husband and wife. They said, "We want to make you the morning man. Do you want the job?" Like, yes.
Yes.
Thank God, yes. And that started the process. I stayed in Connecticut for 8 years. And, the radio game is so interesting. I was so blessed to have started in Richmond, Virginia, went to Connecticut, got all my bruises, learned the game even more, grew, developed my skills even more. And when that radio station faded to black, the same brother who gave me the opportunity interviewing Regina Bell was working in New York, and he was good friends with my radio godfather. He became my radio godfather, a guy named Vinny Brown. He's one of the most dynamic minds in radio programming, who was the program director at 98.7 KISS FM. KISS FM is either KISS FM or you have BLS in New York. And he had heard about me over the years, but he said, "Hey man, the next time you come to New York, I'll call up my buddy." "Well, who's your buddy?" "Vinny Brown." Hold on. I've known you for 8 years, man. Like, you never said Vinny Brown was your friend. And just like that, he was a man of his word. He called him up, and Vinny said, "Come in and see me tomorrow."
Wow.
I'm like, "What?" All God.
Oh God. So you talked about, I gained my bruises through this. It looks like, the one thing after the other happened to you, something fell off, something else happened. But we have to know, all we see on this side is the final deal. Like everything's going well. I got the job. I landed it. I booked it. But let's talk about some of the bruises that you're mentioning for anyone maybe that is looking to get in radio, because it's not easy to get in radio. So can you share some experiences that you had that was just like almost made you quit, or almost said this may not be for me?
I've asked. I talked. It got to a point where I talked to God. I was in Connecticut, and I'm like 6, 7 years in, maybe 6 years in. Because when we want things
Right.
instantly. And that's not how it works. I think I learned my most patience in the 8 years that I worked in Connecticut, of paying your dues and not know I'm paying my dues, and wanting to want something, and I'm going to place you in front of people. You're going to meet certain people. This is going to be your foundation. And that's what he did. I mean, even when I was in college, when I started in college radio, I met some key, amazing, wonderful people in the record business that became VPs in the record companies. And they took a liking to me, and they would give me interviews, or they would give me product, give me the music for me to play on my show. I'm a college radio guy. Like, who's paying attention to me? Someone found it in their heart to give me a moment of their time, and I was thankful of those blessings. But the bruises is, I'm happy to have Subway, and that was my dinner. The bruises is, you work in radio, and this is payday, and you go to the bank to cash your check, and they say insufficient funds. Meanwhile, I got my rent to pay, the essentials of life. People look at radio as not a business. It's not a lifestyle. It's not something you do. People look at an office job, but people in radio, it's a job. It's a love. If you're fortunate to get into the door of the right radio station in the right market, it can pay well. But it takes a while to get to that door, to get to that market, and to get people to pay you what you're really worth. No one is really going to pay you what you're really worth. I'm so happy that you have your business, because you'll pay yourself what you're really worth, and you'll grow. Black Link Magazine is on the rise. So it takes a long time for that to happen. It's so funny how God is. Someone's calling my phone. One of those ladies who I spoke of, individuals at one of these record companies, who I'm still friend with to this day. She was working at Columbia Records. I'm sitting on my phone. She's calling me up. So I don't know how that's miraculously happening right now. But I said to my boys, "Look, I'm 3 months behind on my rent. I gotta move." I said, "We gotta move at 1:00 in the morning." They moved me out of my crib at 1:00 in the morning. We were so quiet, like church mice, and got me out. I couldn't afford it. Because again, working for a radio station that was having bounce checks, and it was like, some people get paid, some people didn't get paid, and they'll make it up to you, But meanwhile, you still got bills, you got deadlines,
Wow.
people, the people I have to pay my rent to, they don't care about you didn't get paid. It's the first of the month. I expect my rent. That's what
Right.
I'm going to say. The check bounce at the job, they don't want to hear that. So those are the bruises,
Wow.
having a pizza that was sometimes dinner, so it's hard in the radio business, in any career,
Yes.
when you're trying to get to a
Yeah.
certain level, when you're trying to just live. You have a love and affection for something. If your calling is to do this, and God put you in this lane for a reason, and you really want to do what you really want to do, there it comes with consequences. It comes with lessons learned. It comes with, like I said, patience at the top of all of that.
Yeah.
And can you do you really want it? Because it's going to test if you really want something. If you're not willing to take these tests, then I know that you're saying that you want something, but you really don't want it. That's why I always say to a lot of people who I speak to, the thing that you're most passionate about, you'll excel in. It's not going to happen as quickly as you want it to, because you want it to happen yesterday. But
Mm-hmm.
if you're passionate about something, it's going to happen. If you know in your heart and soul that God put you in this position, in this path for a moment, it's going to be a few seasons that you're going to go through. But in those seasons that you go through, you're going to face some adversity. You're going to face some strong winds. You're going to face some things that are going to take you off your course. You're going to face an opportunity of
Sure.
second guessing yourself. So that's going to test and see if you really should do this, you want to do this. And sometimes it's a wake up call, because sometimes you may want to do something, as I wanted to sing. And as much as I wanted to sing, it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
So you got to know when to throw in the towel and
Right.
say, you know what, let me do this, and pay attention to those other things around you. Growing up in New York, I wanted to work on New York City radio. Well, how logical is that? Not logical at all.
Right.
People weren't paying me no mind. They were like, I remember this one guy, he worked at WBLS at the time, he was a program director. He listened to my air check, and air check is a demo.
Uh-huh.
You put your voice on it and
Oh,
you
uh-huh.
get a
Uh-huh.
sample of how you are. He listened to it for all of 5 seconds, turned it off, came around from his desk and said, learn how to talk to one person. And that was the end of the meeting. Goodbye. I'm like, what the hell is he talking about?
Yeah.
Talking
Whoa.
about? And I learned that when you get on radio, even though I'm talking to masses, I'm really talking to you. So my words is not y'all, it's not hey everybody. And I might do that occasionally, but I'm really talking in first person.
Right.
First person, without knowing who you are. So look, I know you had a long day at work, so I'm here to take your mind off everything. I'm talking to you. I know I'm talking to you, and I'm talking to them, but I'm really talking to you. So that was the lesson learned years later, after I understood radio and understand how it worked, and got some mentors, because it's important that we have mentors. And God
Right.
bless the brother who I sit in the seat on this day. His name is Ron Harper. He was our quiet storm man up in New York for years, and he had the voice of God, in my opinion. Him and Barry White, neck and neck. I sound like a mouse compared to
Wow.
these voices. They were resonant, they were bass. I'm like, wow, this guy has a phenomenal voice, phenomenal. And I paid attention to them. And not only did I pay attention to them, but we became friends over the years.
Mm-hmm.
And to find and to learn and to just observe taught me a lot, because it's important that you learn. You're going to see some bad things along the way, but you're going to
Yeah.
take out the good things and what's going to be essential to you
That's
in
right.
order to grow and develop.
I love that. I love that. Wow. Yeah, and I mean, it's like you said, it's in any career. And if you don't have the backbone for it, or if you're not really in for it, then you might find something else that you like to do. And that's in anything. So we feel the pain, but I think the pain is all worth it when we get into a space where we feel like, oh, maybe not made it, but we're here, we're here. And so it's all worth it if you can hang in there.
You got to
So
be hang in there, right?
yeah. There's a couple of things here. Can you tell us what syndicated mean? Because some people are like, what is, being syndicated mean there? And then how the quiet storm came about.
So syndication or syndicated means to be heard in multiple cities at the same time.
Mhm.
I'll throw out a couple of names: Steve Harvey, Ricky Smiley. They're in several cities.
Yeah.
They're not in a particular city. They may not be in your city, but they're in several cities
Right.
simultaneously.
Yeah.
And that's what the Quiet Storm is right now. It's in multiple cities around the country. I'm grateful to be in New York. I'm grateful to be in Oklahoma City. I'm grateful to be in Alabama. I'm grateful to be in Nassau, Bahamas. Grateful to be in Georgia. Grateful to be Milwaukee. So I'm grateful to be in
Everywhere.
a few markets, and I'm still looking to grow and be in other markets as well. I'm a competitive guy. When it comes to, I love air hockey. Like that's one of my.
I saw that and I was like, air hockey.
You find it in most game arcade places. It's air hockey, and you'll find Lenny right there, like competing against somebody, and it's an intense game for me. Like,
Wow.
I'm really competitive. So radio is competitive as well, except that you don't see your opponent. But I love to be in the same market of another person who's doing a love show. I mean, look, so it gives you options as a listener, but it also gives me challenges as well.
Right.
Because my goal is to become hopefully the person that you love listening to the most. Not to say that you're not going to pay attention to the other person, but I want to win over your likability. I want to win over your support. So being competitive is something that I always strive to do, and it's hard. It's hard doing it because sometimes when you're in multiple cities, I'm a person. When I started in radio, I started in AM radio, and AM radio is more community-based radio.
Yeah.
That's a great thing because I like connecting. I like seeing people. I like meeting people. And that creates a separate kind of relationship too, because once we get a chance, if we get a chance to talk, now I'm not just a guy who comes on the radio. I'm a human being.
Yeah.
You'll get a feel of my personality. We'll share a moment. And hopefully those moments, those special moments that I have the opportunity to meet folks, are treasured beyond measure because no one has to listen to me.
That's right.
And I'm grateful for those who do. And I pray that, like I said in the beginning of our conversation, I pray that I can touch one person. That's my prayer every day for God to allow me to say something encouraging, to help somebody, to play a song that brings back a moment, to not let a person feel it as they're lonely because we all go through dark moments. And I think
Yeah.
more and more these days we see, mental illness is at the top of the list. And people go through dark periods of their time and they need somebody to talk to. I just want to be that outlet for you to be entertained, enjoy some music, and realize that life is so valuable and your life matters. So if I can do that, if I can help someone along the way and bring somebody underneath my wing and show them or tell them and encourage them, then I think I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Right. Wow. So you talked about being out in other cities. So we talked about Oklahoma before we came on and the Perry Broadcasting, which is out here in Oklahoma. How difficult or not was it to get out here in Oklahoma, and to be on the station? Let's talk about your experience.
Well, shout out to everybody first in Oklahoma City. I got family in Oklahoma.
Okay.
Cousins in
Okay.
Oklahoma City. And that's why I need to get there because I haven't visited them in a long time. But let me go back for a second because you said, how did the Quiet Storm thing come about?
Yes.
So the Quiet Storm was really birthed in Washington, D.C., as quiet as it's kept. It was the first Quiet Storm format. It was a Quiet Storm show. Miss Kathy Hughes, who is a phenomenon. She owns TV One, Syndication One. She owns several stations, TV stations, radio stations all over the country. Before she got all of that, she started in Washington, D.C. And she started with her own talk show. But she also came up with the concept of the Quiet Storm. And the brother who, unfortunately, God rest his soul, is no longer with us, his name was Melvin Lindsay. A lot of people don't know that. But that's the history of the first thing. Now, the interesting thing about it, by God's grace, I have developed a relationship with Mr. Quiet Storm himself, Smokey Robinson. So that album, the Quiet Storm album, was his comeback album. He had took a break from singing. And him and Berry Gordy are best of friends. So Berry Gordy made Smokey vice president of Motown Records back in the day. And that's all he did. But he got frustrated in being an administrator, working in the office. And Barry knew that. So he said, get out of here and start making music again. The album that he comes out with is The Quiet Storm. That relaunches his career to a whole new different level. to where he is
I
today.
love him. Love him.
So do I. And that's how you had the birth of the Quiet Storm. So the Quiet Storm is not just in one city. A lot of radio stations can adapt the name, but outside of Washington, D.C., New York got it second.
Right.
And we've been the Quiet Storm station in the Northeast for a very long time, as it still is in Washington, D.C.
Right. How we know that, syndicated means being in different cities all over. How difficult or not was it to land that with Perry Broadcasting in Oklahoma? And I ask because I'm from Oklahoma. A lot of people from Oklahoma will see this. Just kind of curious about how that worked.
So there's a company that manages my show, and they're called Super Radio. Super Radio acts as one. They have people who work in their offices that scout out various radio stations in different markets and ask, we have a program that we think will work well with your radio station and with your city or with, in your town. It went the opposite with Mr. Perry. Mr. Perry, shout out to Mr. Perry. Mr. Perry, he sat down the first time I met Mr. Perry. Mr. Perry owns several stations as well.
Yes, he does.
And a newspaper, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's a baller for those who understand the term.
Yes, he is.
And when I had the opportunity, he first put me on his station in Augusta, Georgia, the home of James Brown. So I was grateful for that. And I was making my rounds just to say hello to different people. But he was my first stop and only stop that I made. So he was there that day. And I asked him, I first said, thank you, man. Thank you so much, sir, for allowing me to be on your show, be on your airwaves. He says he was looking for a program that would be ideal for the city.
Right.
And he would sit in his den and surf the radio. How God allowed him to come across me, I don't know. But
it was meant.
It was meant. It was destined. And he stopped and he listened to my program and he came back to it several times. And he liked what he heard. He liked my presentation. And he went to Super Radio and said, I want this show.
Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. I hope one day I get to meet him and talk to him as well, just like right around the corner. So that's kind of on my bucket list as well. So as we get ready to wrap up this interview, who most inspires you?
The person who most inspired me was my mom. Unfortunately, she's my angel now.
Yeah.
I lost her 7 years ago. But she was the one who pushed me. She was the one who encouraged me. She was the one who I cried on many shoulders. She was a strong woman. I can't be selfish and say I wasn't blessed to have her for 90 years. And I think the next tattoo I will have on my body will say, Mom was there when I opened my eyes, but I was there when she closed hers. And that is that's very, very something special. So the motivation, the blessing, the gift is acknowledging her life and knowing the struggles she went through and so many women go through. My biggest thing, and I know this is digressing off of what you said a little bit. No woman should be raising a child by themselves. Children only come into this world based on two things: love or unfortunately lust. But no child asks to come.
That's right.
It happens.
That's right.
But the responsibility is not just solely on one person, despite what kind of relationship it may be.
Right.
But the responsibility is on two people. Whether you are involved with this person, whether the relationship has changed over the years, the involvement, the bottom line is growing and nurturing this child and allowing this child to see and be involved with both lives, if it's not together. Right. So, that's who inspired me. God motivates me and inspires me, and he tolerates my craziness and my stupidity. And I'm still a big work in progress. I have a long way to go before I can even get to a level of where I'm happy with. But, by God's grace, he is patient with me. And I have a lot of angels watching over me and talking to God on the side, like, be patient with this guy. He's going to do well, but he's hard-headed. He's stubborn, but he's going to get on the right path. So I'm grateful for these moments that, he gives me to sit and talk with a person like you who has a wonderful business that is growing and developing. And you took out the time to say you wanted to sit with me. You got a million things to do. For you to take out a moment of your time to say you want to learn about me or understand me, it's a blessing to me. And I'm grateful for that.
Well, I'm thankful for you. I really mean that. And yeah, our mothers, thank God for mothers and thank God for his grace, because we all need it. We all need it. What's next for you? What's next? What's going on with you currently?
Everything, Marvin, everything. Before I start wrinkling up and graying up, I want to take my life to the next level. But media and, who knows, TV, who knows, reality TV, host a show, who knows? I don't know, but I do know. I feel that I'm not at the end of my road.
Right.
I feel that my career is still growing. Even though God has blessed me with what I have, I'm still asking and praying for him to expand my territory so I can reach and touch more people. Because that's my goal. My goal is to be honest with you, have enough money so I can help families, help single mothers. I give away, I created an award for single mothers who unfortunately have the responsibility of raising their family, of their children. So I came up with Mama Green Women of Dignity Awards. And I give that to single mothers as a way of saying, you're not being ignored. If somebody recognizes your pain, and I'm here just to give you your flowers and this award. And I have my mom's picture embedded engraved in it with the person's name. So
you're so amazing.
I just try to do something, again, to honor her, keep her life and legacy, because she poured so much into me and my brothers. I just want to make sure the love that I have that she gave me and that God gives me on a regular basis, just by waking me up this morning, I just want to pay it forward in some little shape or form. But if I can get enough money, if God blesses me with money, I'm going to do it greater than anybody could ever think.
Yeah. Oh, wow. You just touched my heart. This is so amazing.
God bless you with many more journeys around the sun. You're going to do greater things. You're at the beginning or in the middle, but you're far from the top. So you're growing in great ways. And I'm happy and honored to be a part of the fabric. So thank you and much continued success. You got to meet Mr. Perry. He's going to be a great influence for you as well. Yeah. And you're going to see how great his spirit is. He's one of those classy, old school, sophisticated.
I can't wait. It'll happen. I don't know how, when, or where, but it's going to happen.
It's going to happen. And I'm going to have a little part in that, making that happen for you.
Thank you. So before we get out of here, go ahead and tell the world how they can follow you on all social media sites.
I'm on Instagram at Lenny Green Official. I'm on Facebook at Lenny Green. It's in development, but I just kind of got it and opened it up. MrLennyGreen.com is going to be the website. There's a few pictures up there. And here's a little secret. The singer that you know as the Prince of Sophisticated Soul, his name is Will Downing. He is the one who took those pictures on MrLennyGreen.com.
Oh, wow.
He does that on the side. He's a photographer.
Oh, does he?
And a very good one, mind you, a very good one. I gotta get him connected to you as well, because you're gonna love this.
Yes, I would love that. I would love that. Listen, I'm thankful for you. I'm thankful for what you gave me today, because you did touch my heart, and our stories were like so familiar. I was like, that sounds like me. Wait, that sounds like, and so I think that everything is appointed. We were supposed to be here today. This was supposed to happen. So thank you for being here. Thank you for everything that you do. You guys go out and follow Mr. Lenny Green. Go listen to The Quiet Storm, because us ladies love The Quiet Storm. Don't forget that. Don't forget that.
Ladies, I can't put you to sleep, but I am going to put you to bed every night with some of the best ear candy that you can possibly want. So just get your candles, get a bottle of wine, and let's have a great evening every night together.
Let's do it. Let's do it. All right. I can't wait to meet you in person. I know that will happen as well. In the meantime, you guys, we're going to get out of here. Remember, respect yourself, respect each other. God bless.